Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that roars with the clamor of opinions, ambitions, and desires, there is a subtle force that often goes unnoticed. It is the quiet whisper that beckons us inward, a call to grow not in the public gaze, but in the sacred silence of our own hearts. Today we speak of growth, not the kind that demands attention or applause, but the kind that unfolds softly, like the bloom of a flower beneath the weight of night. The power of quiet transformation is an act of quiet rebellion in a world that celebrates visibility, noise, and public displays of success. We live in a time where we are encouraged to share every aspect of our lives, the highs and the lows, on a global stage. It seems that validation from others has become an unspoken requirement for growth, but there is something profoundly powerful in choosing to grow unseen. In fact, true transformation often occurs in the stillness, in the moments of quiet contemplation, far away from the eyes of the world. This quiet evolution is not for show, and it does not require applause. It is a deeply personal process, one that takes place in the depths of your being. In the silence, transformation happens gradually, often unnoticed, but undeniably real. Like the roots of a tree that sink deeper into the soil with every passing day, your personal growth is not immediately visible to others, but it is no less significant. The roots of your strength, like those of the tree, delve deeper and deeper, drawing sustenance from experiences, challenges, and moments of solitude. This quiet work is where the real growth happens, beneath the surface, out of sight. No one may bear witness to it, but that doesn't make it any less transformative. Your strength is accumulating, layer by layer, in the unseen places of your life, and one day it will rise to the surface with undeniable force. This unseen growth is not rushed by external pressures or driven by the need for recognition. Instead, it is nurtured by patience, reflection, and self-discipline. The beauty of growing in silence is that it allows you to focus entirely on your inner journey. Without the distractions of external validation or the pressure to perform, you are free to explore your depths, to confront your fears, and to cultivate resilience. This is where true transformation occurs, not in the public eye, but in the sacred space of silence. The transformation may be slow, but it is steady, and it is yours alone. Like the tree whose roots spread wide and deep to support its towering branches, you too are gathering strength beneath the surface. The storms of life may come, but your roots will hold you steady. No one may have seen the growth that took place in the quiet of your solitude, but when the time comes, your inner strength will be evident. This silent work will have fortified you, prepared you to withstand whatever challenges lie ahead. It is in the silence, in the moments of quiet reflection and unseen progress, that we become who we are meant to be. The power of quiet transformation is that it prepares us for the world, even when the world is unaware of the work we've done. In the end, growth in silence is about trusting the process. You don't need an audience to validate your journey, and you don't need to prove your progress to anyone. Your growth is for you, and you alone. As you continue to evolve in the quiet spaces of your life, know that every step you take, even the smallest, is leading you towards something greater. The transformation may not be visible now, but the strength you are building beneath the surface will sustain you through the fiercest of storms. In stillness, the spirit finds clarity. In a world that constantly bombards us with noise, distractions, and demands for our attention, we often find ourselves disconnected from our inner selves. Our minds are pulled in multiple directions, leaving little room for introspection or clarity. The relentless external noise clouds our judgment, blurs our priorities, and creates an overwhelming sense of chaos within us. Yet in the midst of this chaos, there lies a powerful truth. Clarity comes not from chasing after answers, but from embracing stillness. It is in moments of silence that the spirit begins to find clarity, unburdened by the noise that surrounds it. In these quiet moments, we allow ourselves to hear the whispers of our soul that have been drowned out by the demands of the world. When we enter into stillness, we create a space where the heart and mind can align. This alignment is not something that can be forced or manufactured. It is a natural consequence of removing ourselves from the distractions that clutter our lives. In stillness, we give ourselves permission to step away from the noise and turn inward, where the answers we seek have always resided. Our hearts, which are often clouded by external pressures, begin to reveal their deepest desires and truths. Our minds, which are constantly engaged in problem solving and reacting to external stimuli, find the quiet they need to process and reflect. It is in this sacred space of stillness that we begin to discern what truly matters in life. The distractions of the world have a way of making everything seem urgent and important. Every notification, every deadline, every obligation competes for our attention, convincing us that they are the priority. Yet, when we allow ourselves to enter into stillness, we see that much of what clamors for our attention is simply noise. It is in the quiet moments that we can separate the important from the trivial, the meaningful from the meaningless. In stillness, we realize that the clarity we seek is not found in doing more or thinking harder, but in simply being present with ourselves. This clarity allows us to see what is truly worth our energy and focus, freeing us from the distractions that once seemed so compelling. Stillness is also where we come to see ourselves more clearly. In a world that constantly seeks to shape and define us, we can easily lose sight of who we truly are. We take on the expectations and opinions of others, allowing them to dictate our self-worth and identity. But in the quiet moments of stillness, we are able to strip away the layers of external influence and reconnect with our authentic selves. We see ourselves not through the lens of societal expectations, but through the lens of truth and self-awareness. It is in this clarity that we discover our true essence, unshaped by the external pressures that once defined us. This self-awareness is the foundation of true growth, for only when we see ourselves clearly can we begin to change and evolve into the people we are meant to be. True growth begins in stillness. It is in these quiet moments that we plant the seeds of transformation, allowing our spirit to take root and flourish. In stillness, we find the clarity we need to make decisions, set goals, and move forward with purpose. Without this clarity, we are like ships lost at sea, tossed about by the waves of distraction and external influence. But with clarity, we become anchored, grounded in our true selves and our true purpose. In the still waters of our soul, we find the strength and direction we need to navigate the challenges of life with grace and resilience. Silence as the seedbed of wisdom. In silence, wisdom is cultivated. Silence offers a rare and precious opportunity to connect with the deeper aspects of ourselves. Just as seeds require the dark, rich soil to take root and grow, the seeds of wisdom are sown in the quiet recesses of our minds. In this stillness, free from the distractions of the outside world, we can reflect on our experiences, mistakes, and lessons. It is in these moments of reflection that we begin to see the patterns and connections that eluded us in the noise and busyness of daily life. Silence allows us to listen not only to our thoughts, but to the subtle truths that life offers, truths that often go unnoticed in the chaos of constant activity. In the quiet, we are able to confront our own thoughts and emotions without the interference of external opinions or judgments. This confrontation, though sometimes uncomfortable, is essential for personal growth. Silence creates the space for us to process the emotions tied to our experiences, giving us the clarity to see beyond the immediate surface of things. When we stop speaking and start listening, we allow the wisdom that lies within us to rise to the surface. We gain perspective on the challenges we have faced, the mistakes we have made, and the lessons we have learned along the way. In doing so, we begin to cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Over time, these seeds of wisdom, planted in the fertile ground of silence, begin to sprout into insights. These insights may come in the form of quiet realizations, moments of clarity, or a deep sense of inner knowing. Just as a seed grows slowly, gradually transforming into a strong and resilient plant, so too does wisdom grow within us. It is a process that cannot be rushed or forced. It requires patience and trust in the natural unfolding of life. The more we embrace silence, the more we allow this growth to happen naturally. As the insights grow and take shape, they guide us toward making more thoughtful decisions, fostering deeper connections with others, and living in alignment with our true selves. Silence, then, is not an empty space, but the fertile ground from which wisdom grows. It is in these quiet moments that we find the clarity to make sense of our experiences and gain a deeper understanding of the truths that shape our lives. In the absence of noise, we are able to hear the whisperings of wisdom, gently guiding us toward greater insight and self-awareness. Silence is a sanctuary, a place where we can retreat to nourish our minds and souls. It is a reminder that wisdom is not something we seek externally, but something that grows from within, nurtured by the stillness and reflection that silence provides. As we cultivate this inner space of quiet reflection, we discover that wisdom has been with us all along, waiting for the right conditions to grow and flourish. The quiet victories. Not all victories are loud or celebrated by others. In fact, some of the most significant triumphs happen in the quiet recesses of our own hearts, far away from the applause or recognition of the outside world. These are the quiet victories, the moments when we conquer our inner struggles and make choices that reflect growth, resilience, and inner strength. They occur when we resist the urge to act in haste and instead choose patience. They happen when we let go of our pride and embrace humility, or when we choose to forgive someone who has hurt us deeply, despite the voice in our head urging us to hold on to resentment. These victories are often silent, unnoticed by anyone but ourselves. Yet, in their silence, they hold immense power, for it is these small, unseen moments that shape our character and mold us into the person we are meant to become. Quiet victories teach us valuable lessons about self-control, emotional resilience, and the importance of internal progress. In a world that often celebrates outward success, money, fame, achievements, it is easy to overlook the significance of these inner triumphs. But it is in these moments of quiet victory that we truly grow. When we resist reacting impulsively in moments of anger, or when we choose to persevere despite feelings of doubt or fear, we are winning battles that may seem invisible to the outside world, but which are immensely transformative. These are the milestones that pave the way for long-lasting change. Each time we make the conscious decision to be patient, to remain humble, or to offer forgiveness, we are chiseling away at the parts of ourselves that hold us back and slowly uncovering the best version of ourselves. Moreover, quiet victories are a testament to our perseverance and inner strength. They remind us that growth is not always loud or visible. It doesn't always come with accolades or validation from others. More often, true growth happens in moments of solitude, when we are faced with difficult decisions, or when we confront the parts of ourselves that need healing. It happens in the stillness of our hearts, when no one else is watching, when the spotlight is turned off, and we are left to wrestle with our own doubts, fears, and insecurities. In these moments, the choices we make define who we are. The battles we win internally against impatience, pride, or resentment may not be celebrated by others, but they are the victories that truly matter. They are the foundation upon which we build a life of integrity, purpose, and meaning. These quiet victories are not only the most personal, but also the most powerful. They reflect the internal work that shapes our souls and strengthens our resolve. Over time, these unseen triumphs accumulate, and we begin to notice a shift within ourselves. Our reactions become more measured, our hearts more compassionate, and our minds more at peace. The quiet victories may not always be easy, but they are worth every effort. They remind us that the journey of growth is a deeply personal one, and that the most important battles we fight are the ones within our own hearts. Each time we choose the higher path, patience, humility, forgiveness, we are winning a quiet victory that leads us closer to the person we are meant to be. The noise of the world is relentless. It surrounds us at every moment, demanding our attention, urging us to follow its patterns, and pulling us into a current that often leads us far from who we truly are. This noise manifests in many forms: constant distractions from technology, the pressure to meet societal expectations, and the voices of others telling us who we should be. We are bombarded with messages that tell us to conform, to mold ourselves into shapes that fit the world's idea of success and happiness. These external influences can be overpowering, drowning out the inner voice that speaks to our authentic desires and values. The more we immerse ourselves in this noise, the more we lose touch with our own truth. The world's noise becomes our default setting, leading us to question ourselves, to seek validation from others, and to measure our worth by standards that are not our own. Yet there is an antidote to this overwhelming chaos: silence. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a state of being that allows us to retreat from the noise of the world. It is in silence that we can pause, step back, and reconnect with the essence of who we are. When we create space for silence, we give ourselves the opportunity to listen to the deeper voice within, the one that is often overshadowed by the external clamor. This inner voice is our true guide, and it speaks to us in moments of stillness. It tells us what we truly want, what we value, and where we need to go. But we cannot hear it if we are constantly engulfed in the noise of the world. In silence, we find refuge. We discover that our true selves do not need the validation of others, nor do we need to meet the world's expectations to find fulfillment. The silence strips away the layers of external pressure and allows us to see ourselves as we are, without the need for masks, pretenses, or approval. It is in these moments of quiet that we realize our worth is intrinsic, not something to be earned or granted by others. We are enough as we are, and in the stillness, we rediscover our authenticity. As we sit in silence, the noise of the world begins to lose its grip on us. The voices telling us to conform, to seek validation, or to measure our success by material standards grow faint. In their place, we hear the voice of our own soul, guiding us toward a life of purpose, grace, and authenticity. This is the power of silence. It gives us the space to grow, not in response to the world's demands, but in alignment with our deepest truths. The more we embrace silence, the more we realize that the noise of the world is just that, noise. It is not a reflection of who we are or what we are capable of. Silence teaches us that true growth comes not from external validation, but from within. It is in the quiet that we find the strength to be who we are meant to be, free from the chaos and expectations that the world tries to impose on us. In this space of stillness, we grow in authenticity and grace, learning to trust the process of becoming ourselves. We are no longer swayed by the ever-changing tides of external opinion or the pressures to fit into molds that do not serve us. Instead, we find our own path, guided by the inner voice that knows our true worth and potential. Silence, then, is not just a reprieve from the noise. It is the space where we come home to ourselves, where we can grow in the light of our own truth, free from the distractions of the world around us. Solitude as a sanctuary. Solitude is not merely an absence of company, it is a sanctuary where we find refuge from the noise and demands of the world. In these moments of quiet, we are not left to confront an empty void, but are instead immersed in the richness of self-discovery. The act of being alone allows us to explore the depths of our thoughts, ideas, and emotions in a way that is rarely possible when we are surrounded by others. Solitude gives us the space to reflect on our experiences, to consider our decisions, and to listen to the voice within that is often drowned out by the busyness of daily life. It is in these still moments that we can begin to see ourselves more clearly, gaining insights that are essential to personal growth. When we embrace solitude, we open the door to contemplation without distraction. In a world filled with constant stimulation, solitude becomes a gift, one that allows us to step back from the chaos and reconnect with our true selves. Without the interruptions of external expectations, we are free to explore our deepest desires and intentions. We can ask ourselves the important questions: what do I truly want? Where am I going? What do I need to change? In solitude, these questions can be answered with honesty, for there is no one else to judge or influence our thoughts. It is in this quiet communion with ourselves that we find clarity and purpose. Solitude is also the place where we can be most honest with ourselves. In the company of others, we may feel the need to present a version of ourselves that fits within societal expectations or the demands of our relationships. But in solitude, there is no one to impress, no one to please. We are free to confront our fears, acknowledge our failures, and celebrate our successes without reservation. This kind of raw honesty is essential for growth, for it is only when we face our true selves that we can begin the process of transformation. Solitude allows us to strip away the layers of pretense and illusion, revealing the core of who we are. In this sacred space, true growth begins. Solitude is not a quick fix or an instant solution to life's challenges, but rather a slow, steady unfolding of our potential. It is in these quiet moments that we lay the foundation for lasting change. Through reflection, contemplation, and honest self-examination, we begin to understand our strengths and weaknesses. We see the areas where we need to improve, and we recognize the talents and abilities that we may have overlooked. Solitude gives us the time and space to nurture these qualities, allowing them to grow and develop over time. Ultimately, solitude is not a state of loneliness, but a powerful tool for personal development. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that we find the courage to confront our limitations and the wisdom to embrace our potential. Through solitude, we discover that we are not defined by the opinions or expectations of others, but by our own capacity for growth and change. This sanctuary of solitude becomes the fertile ground from which our true selves can emerge, ready to face the world with renewed strength and purpose. The balance between silence and expression is a dance we must all learn in our journey of growth. Silence holds an immense power as it gives us the space to listen, reflect, and deepen our understanding of the world around us and within us. In these quiet moments, we are able to cultivate insights that are often missed in the constant noise of everyday life. It is in silence that we find the clarity we need to realign with our purpose, our values, and our goals. Silence invites us to explore our inner thoughts, sift through our emotions, and discover the lessons that life has been quietly teaching us. Through this process, we gain the wisdom and perspective necessary for authentic growth. However, there is a delicate balance between remaining in silence and stepping into expression. Growth does not occur solely in isolation. Just as a seed must eventually break through the soil to reach the sunlight, there comes a time when what we have learned in silence must be shared. The purpose of our growth is not only for our own betterment, but also for the enrichment of others. Just as trees bear fruit for the nourishment of others, the insights we gain in silence must be expressed to serve and inspire those around us. To remain silent indefinitely is to withhold the fruits of our growth, denying the world the nourishment it could gain from the wisdom we have cultivated. Yet, even as we step into expression, we must carry with us the humility and stillness that silence has instilled in us. Expression should never be driven by the ego's need for validation or recognition. Rather, it should come from a place of service, understanding that what we share is a gift, not an entitlement. The greatest teachers and leaders are those who understand the ongoing nature of growth. They express their wisdom not as finished products, but as fellow travelers on the journey of life. They recognize that silence is not a one-time practice, but an ongoing companion that keeps them grounded, humble, and open to continued learning. In this way, the balance between silence and expression becomes an essential aspect of our personal evolution. We express what we have learned not to prove our worth, but to offer something valuable to the world. At the same time, we return to silence to continue our growth, understanding that wisdom is not a destination but a path that we walk for our entire lives. Through this balance, we find the rhythm of true growth, one that is both internal and external, both reflective and expressive. And in this rhythm, we discover that the most profound expressions are those born from the deepest silences. Listening to the whispers of intuition. In the quiet moments, when the world fades away, something remarkable happens. The noise of everyday life, the distractions, and the constant barrage of information slowly begin to dissolve. As they do, we are left with something far more profound, the soft whispers of our intuition. These whispers are not loud or overbearing, yet they carry an incredible power. They are subtle, gentle nudges that often guide us toward the paths we are truly meant to follow. But in a world filled with external voices and opinions, how often do we truly stop and listen to that quiet voice within? Listening to the whispers of intuition is not an easy task. It requires silence, patience, and a willingness to be still. In a society that glorifies busyness and activity, stillness can feel counterintuitive. We are often taught to trust logic and reason above all else, to seek validation and approval from others before making decisions. Yet, in those rare moments when we do pause, when we allow ourselves to sit with our thoughts in silence, we discover a profound truth: intuition always knows the way. It may not always make sense on the surface, but it is deeply connected to our innermost self, to the core of who we are and what we truly desire. When we begin to trust in these whispers, something incredible happens. We start making decisions that feel aligned with our true purpose, rather than choices driven by fear or the need for external validation. These intuitive nudges often lead us toward opportunities we hadn't considered, relationships that enrich our lives, and paths that align with our higher calling. It's as though intuition holds the map to our soul's journey, guiding us toward what is most authentic and fulfilling. And the more we listen, the stronger that voice becomes. But how do we learn to trust this inner voice when so much of our world encourages us to doubt it? The key lies in practice, creating space for silence and reflection in our daily lives. Whether through meditation, journaling, or simply spending time in nature, we need moments of quiet to sharpen our ability to hear this voice. It is in these moments that we gain clarity, that we can distinguish between the noise of the outside world and the truth of our inner knowing. And once we learn to hear and trust it, we find ourselves making decisions from a place of deep understanding rather than fear or uncertainty. This is the true gift of listening to intuition, the courage to act, not because we seek approval or fear making the wrong choice, but because we know deep down what is right for us. This knowing transcends logic or external validation. It comes from a place of connection to our higher self, to the part of us that is attuned to our true purpose. When we trust in this inner guidance, we move forward with confidence and grace, knowing that every step we take is leading us closer to where we are meant to be. In a world that often pulls us in 1,000 different directions, the ability to quiet the noise and listen to the whispers of intuition is a profound skill. It allows us to navigate life with greater ease, to make choices that resonate with our true selves, and to embrace the journey with a sense of trust and faith. Growth in silence requires patience. It is a journey that cannot be rushed, much like the way a seed grows into a towering tree. Just as the seed remains hidden beneath the soil, Receiving sunlight and nutrients from the earth without immediate outward signs of transformation, we too must understand that growth is often a hidden process. Our personal development unfolds in silence, away from the eyes of others, and requires a deep level of trust in the process. To grow silently means to allow time and space for the necessary transformation to occur, understanding that this journey is unique to each person. The process of growth is slow, steady, and at times nearly invisible, yet it is always happening, building towards a greater outcome that will eventually be seen by all. As we embrace this concept of growth, we must also come to terms with the idea of delayed gratification. In a world that often demands instant results, we are conditioned to expect quick rewards for our efforts. However, silent growth teaches us the value of patience, of allowing things to unfold in their own time. This doesn't mean we are passive in our pursuits, rather, it means we are intentional and focused, knowing that the fruits of our labor may take longer to manifest. During this time of waiting, we strengthen our inner foundation, laying the groundwork for the changes that will eventually be seen externally. Patience teaches us to trust the process and believe that the most profound changes are happening beneath the surface, even when there are no immediate signs of progress. In these moments of waiting, we must not be discouraged by the lack of visible outcomes. Growth is often most significant when it goes unnoticed. The roots of a tree grow deep into the soil before it breaks through the surface. Similarly, we must be rooted in our convictions and our purpose, knowing that every small effort contributes to a much larger picture. The quiet moments of reflection, the setbacks we face, and the challenges we overcome are all part of the silent growth process. Patience, then, becomes an essential tool, allowing us to stay focused on the long-term vision rather than being distracted by short-term results. It teaches us to look beyond the immediate, trusting that all the unseen work being done will eventually reveal itself in due time. Ultimately, patience in silent growth is about surrendering to the process. It's about understanding that personal development cannot be forced or rushed, but must be nurtured over time. Like a seed that gradually transforms into a plant, we too undergo a transformation that requires care, attention, and trust. There is no need to rush the process or seek validation from external sources. Silent growth allows us the space to evolve in our own time, knowing that when the time is right, the fruits of our labor will be evident for all to see. The patience we cultivate along the way is what enables us to endure the journey, knowing that the transformation is happening, even if it cannot be seen. The peace of silent growth. There is a profound peace that comes from growing in silence. This peace is not a result of external validation or recognition, but rather an inner contentment that stems from understanding that our journey is uniquely ours. In a world where noise and constant comparison reign, silent growth offers a refuge. It allows us to withdraw from the chaos and focus on our personal evolution, undistracted by the opinions and judgments of others. When we commit to growing in silence, we give ourselves permission to grow authentically. We shed the need to perform for an audience, to prove our worth through external accomplishments. Instead, we embrace the quiet, trusting that our growth, however slow or unrecognized by others, is meaningful and purposeful. Silent growth also fosters a deep connection with oneself. In silence, we are no longer swayed by the constant input from the world around us. We are able to listen to our inner voice, to hear our intuition and understand our true desires. This inner clarity is often drowned out by the noise of modern life, where we are bombarded with messages telling us who we should be, what we should achieve, and how fast we should get there. But when we grow in silence, we reclaim our right to decide our own pace. We realize that there is no race, no competition, and that our worth is not defined by how quickly or visibly we grow. Moreover, silent growth cultivates resilience. When we grow without the need for recognition, we develop an inner strength that is not dependent on the approval of others. We learn to persevere through challenges because our motivation comes from within. The silent progress we make becomes a testament to our determination and discipline, not a reflection of how others perceive us. This type of growth is sustainable because it is not reliant on fleeting praise or accolades. It is rooted in a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that true growth often happens in the unseen moments, in the spaces where no one is watching. Ultimately, growing in silence allows us to cultivate a sense of inner peace that is unshakable. It is the peace of knowing that our worth is not determined by what others see or acknowledge. It is the peace of trusting in our own journey, of growing at our own pace, free from the pressures of comparison. In silence, we find the freedom to be ourselves, to grow into who we are meant to be, without the need for validation or recognition. This peace is invaluable because it grants us the freedom to live authentically, unburdened by the weight of others' expectations. Silent growth teaches us that the most important journey we take is the one within, and that peace can only be found when we embrace our own path in life, free from the distractions and judgments of the outside world. So let us embrace the silence. Let us choose to grow not for the world's applause, but for the quiet strength that only silence can give. In the stillness we will find ourselves steadfast, grounded and ready to blossom in our own time. For it is in silence that the deepest growth occurs, and it is in silence that we truly come to know the fullness of our own potential.